to assemble. All right, we've sanded down the neck to fit your hand. You notice how I've sanded down the back, and I like this to be a little bit more narrower, so I've sanded that down, and I've got it to where it's almost smooth. My style, I like to leave some of the cut marks in it, and you can see where this was quarter sawn, but it's smooth, but you can still see the cut marks in it. I get a lot of people say, well, what do you use to season or condition your wood? You use polyurethane? Do you use varnish? Do you use clear coat? I don't use any of that. I use what's readily available. What I've found is the best for me is I use a paste wax. This one's actually a darker paste wax, sort of looks like chocolate pudding. I don't know where to find it now. I actually found this can at a yard sale for 50 cents. And what I do is I put a liberal amount on before I go assembling anything, and you see how it brings out the color in that piece of walnut, and it'll bring out the color in the oak that we're using as well. If you're using poplar, it'll darken it up a little bit. Poplar's a greener looking wood. Cherry, of course, is red, but you notice how it brings out the grain in the wood that you're using right there in that oak, and especially in that walnut. It'll darken it up, and you can put as many coats as you want to on. I usually put 2 or 3 coats on, make sure it's good. The oil from your hand while you're playing will also help season the wood over time. You can't hurt it by putting too much on. The next step we're going to do is we're going to mate the neck to the cigar box. That's a really simple step to do. You don't want to mess it up. This is kind of crucial, but it's very simple. Get our cigar box. Once again, what we want to do is we want to find center. Remember, we cut the hole at the center on the one side. So what we're going to do is we're going to find center on the other side. Again, always measure, always measure, because I've gotten some that aren't square. So this one's 6.5, so 3 1/4 is middle. I'm going to make a mark. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You just see I just made a little mark. And I'm going to go about 1/4 inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch. Again, no rules. From each side of that mark, here's where it starts to become a guitar. Remember our middle mark right here. What we're going to do is we're going to mate our guitar up to our neck. Just like that. Now, when you open it up, you can see where your neck needs to be. You got to leave room for that lid to be able to close. Easiest way I've found to find center is to actually just set it down on the ground. You already have a flush cut on the end of your neck. Put a little bit of pressure with your hand. Okay? And take your drill and find that center hole, that center mark, and drill a hole. Right through the box and into your neck. Take a cotter pin and put it into that hole. It should slide right in. Now you have the beginnings of a cigar box guitar. You go about 3/8 of an inch to the one side, make sure you're still on the neck, and drill another hole. Put that one in and drill your 3rd hole. You have your 3 cotter pins in. When you look at it this way, you can see that your neck is flush up against and everything fits perfectly. This is a different style of cigar box guitar. This one actually has frets on it. This is on a regular guitar scale. It's on a Gibson scale or a Fender scale. You wouldn't use a slide on this one. The one we're going to be building today, you'll use a slide on to get your notes. And I'll show you a little bit later how we do that. I've drilled my holes in the end of the neck through the box, so they made up perfectly. You don't have to worry about it. You notice mine came out of the edge. It's no big deal. Our next step, we're going to install the tuners. Those are your tuning machines that I bought. I bought them off of CB Giddy. CBGiddy.com is one of the greatest resources that we have in the cigar box universe to get stuff. He's always looking for new product that we can use. Remember, we can also find stuff all over. Yard sales, flea markets, garages. I look at stuff totally different now that I'm doing cigar box guitars than I did before. So let's get the tuners installed and we're almost ready to play guitar. These are sealed gear tuners. They're really simple to put in. All you really have to do is slide it through, straighten it up, and we'll drill that hole later. What that basically does is that sets your tuner in. I'm going to get all 3 of these put in from the back. And that little white thing is just a little piece of protective plastic. Again, no rules. If you want to put 1 on the top, 2 on the bottom, all 3 on one side, it doesn't matter. It's how you prefer to do it. I used to make a lot of them where I'd put it on the side and have the tuner head facing up so that when you sat it down, it didn't go out of tune. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this retaining nut and screw it down in there. Yep.
Down in there.
Actually, get it started with your fingers.
Start it with my fingers. Just screw it in.
Feel it catching?
Yep.
I don't really reef them on. Just finger tight it with that. Good enough. Make sure the other ones are finger tight. So the next step is, you see the little hole right here. We just need to put our screws in and set that tuner so it doesn't move when we put a string on it. 1/32 of an inch. And all I do is hold it. And I don't go the whole way through. Just partially through. And I do all 3 of them. And the reason you want to drill is because this being a hardwood, you'll either break the screw or you'll crack the wood. More than likely, you're going to break the screw on something this small. So we've got our tuners on our neck. We've got it all waxed up, smooth, not going to get any splinters. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is assemble our guitar, which is just this simple. Put your neck in, make sure you line up your holes. Your basic cigar box guitar. Oh wait, we're missing something. Got to put strings on it, got to put a nut on it, nut down here, bridge up here, and a set of strings, and we're ready to make magic. All right, what we're going to use for a bridge and a nut is just a little 1/4-inch bolt with 2 nuts on it. It's 3 string. It's going to sit right around there somewhere. And this is just a carriage bolt. You can buy them at Tractor Supply by the pound. I buy them by the pound. I buy these by the pound. They're all the same price. I don't even know what it is, 79 cents a pound or something. That's going to go there. And this is going to go here. And we're going to start putting strings on it. So you don't need these on right now as you're putting strings on. I found if you put the middle string on first, it tends to hold everything together very well. So we're going to put up through the cotter pin. And I'll show you that here in a second once I get it on. And come down here. And the middle string is always going to be this back tuner. And you want it to go around the tuning peg a couple of times. Some people say it has to go around 5 times, 3 times. A couple times works. Put your nut in. Put your bridge in. It's the middle string, so you're going to split the difference. And seeing as we're putting heavier strings on this one, we're going to have to put a screw right there to hold the string back. See how it has a tendency to ride? It's no big deal right now. We'll do that later. This is my bottom string. I use just 3 consecutive strings on a guitar. It doesn't matter what 3. It does matter what tuning you want to use. I usually use just open tuning. This one's going to have a nice deep, rich sound to it. And you always, when you're doing your strings, you always want to make sure it spins away from the inside of the guitar. You see how this one's going clockwise, this one went counterclockwise. And that'll also help hold your nut and bridge on. It's almost there. Be very careful. You don't want to leave a sharp edge here, especially if you're giving it to a child.
But my well's dripping dry today. Oh Lord, she want a horse to my head.
Go ahead and trim it. It's about right there. There we go. All right, we've got the strings on. Carla, my assistant, has graciously helped me out. Now we got to get them spaced. Now this one's going to have a tendency to want to walk on you, and so is that one. So all we do, it's real simple. We find out where we want it, and we're going to drill a little hole. I'm going to drill a little pilot hole right there. Take one of my set screws. And tighten it up. And if you notice, that prevents that string from moving up any. And I don't think we're going to need one here because I think the pressure from tuning the string will keep that one in place. If we have to go back and do it, we can. All right, we've got our guitar together. Sometimes you may have to put a nail right here. Depending on the age of your box, it may have a tendency to ride up. This one's actually very tight. We did a really good job. And I'm sure you'll do a good job when you do yours. If it's not so tight, you can put an angle bracket right here. And a lot of times, I'll actually just put a screw right down through my top of my box and into my neck just to hold everything together. I don't like gluing everything together. I'm not a big fan of it because then you can never take it apart. This thing here, if you take the strings off, you can take the whole guitar apart in a matter of a minute if you need to change something, or you have something you don't like, or you want to sand the neck down a little bit more, or you want to change the box. That's very easy. I mean, the neck is the main part that takes a ton of time to do. You can change out this box in a matter of 10 minutes. some of the other ones that you can build. This one has dulcimer fretting on it. It's the same fret wire, it's just scaled differently so that every note is an open note. So you can literally it's a little bit easier to learn to play this style. There's no off notes, if you will. Okay, so we've got the strings on it. You notice we added a couple of keepers up here just to keep the strings in place. You may or may not have to do that. It's totally personal preference. I don't like chasing my strings around, so I just added, all I did was put 2 screws in. I pre-drilled my holes, put 2 screws in. Nothing has changed from what you've seen before. This is the first, second, and third string on a regular guitar. So 52, 42, and 32. It doesn't matter. I know guys that use the first, second, and sixth string. It's whatever personal preference you choose and what you like to hear. I've tuned this E, B, E, which the top string on a guitar is regularly E anyways. On a regular guitar, a second string is A, so you're close. You don't really have to worry about breaking any strings, but so your top and bottom strings are the same note. They're just 1 octave apart, and you have a totally open note when you play. And Carla's going to give me my slide, which is just, it's a glass bottleneck. You can use a socket, you can use an axle bearing, you can use a butter knife. That's what Blind Willie Johnson used, was the blade of his pocket knife. And we're going to see if we can make a sound out of this magical, mystical instrument, huh? And that's pretty much it. Now, one thing we're going to do is we're going to embellish our box or our neck, or we're going to go through the little hardware box that I have and kind of make it ours personally. If I'm making one for somebody, I try and find out what they're interested in. And